Brian Baldinger will be on the call on the national radio network for Compass Media. Eagles and Panthers, his Baldy breakdowns are great. We'll get into them right now with Brian Baldinger, who will call the game for Compass Media, a 12-year NFL veteran. You guys see him doing his Baldy breakdowns at Baldy NFL on Twitter, and he's kind enough to join us now with a breakdown of Eagles and Panthers. Baldy, welcome back. How are you been?
I've been great, Mike. Here we are, week 7, man. I mean, we are on a fast-moving treadmill right now in this NFL season.
We sure are. And 7 weeks in, is this Philly team have an identity? Is it where they thought they would be? How do we read where this team is 7 weeks in?
Well, I mean, sometimes, every year is a new year, Mike. So you win a Super Bowl, it's a different team. A lot of injuries and, it's just different personnel. You got to figure it out. And so I thought the last game they played against the Giants, they really took a big step towards who they are, where Zach Ertz and Alshon Jeffrey look like they're almost indefensible. And Carson Wentz played his best game since the last time he played, which against the Rams, last year. I mean, he was at that level last time we really saw him a year ago. And I think that's the kind of the consistent level that I think you can expect to see him at. Just a killer out there, just going for the jugular with his deep throws and extending third downs and keeping drives alive. I mean, to me right now, Alshon Jeffrey, since he's been back, this team's look completely different. I mean, they got a real go-to guy there in Zach Ertz. I mean, that's pretty good start in place right now.
We know the Eagles are very good against the run. We know Carolina's fourth best running the ball. They average about 140 a game. Newton ran for 70 yards against them last year, 11 carries, 70 yards. This year they add, of course, McCaffrey as kind of their lead guy. So what is your look at that matchup? Carolina running the ball against Philadelphia defending it.
Well, I mean, it's what Carolina wants to do. I mean, they've got a real two-headed monster right there. Can't produce, he presents different issues than just about any other quarterback in this league. I mean, he is a real factor. He's a factor on third downs. He's a factor in getting Christian McCaffrey open looks and better looks. He's always a threat on any short yards and goal line play to keep it. So, and they're going to feed him. They're going to feed Christian McCaffrey. He gets the bulk of the carries right now, and he's proven this year that he can handle the load, and even at 200 pounds, he's got enough wiggle and power in the short yardage and goal line game to get positive yards. And if you don't tackle well, he'll make you look bad. And so tackling is going to be something, if I was Doug Peterson and Jim Schwartz, I would be stressing about all the way through that game.
And it's something that the Eagles last year, Baldy, were great at. I mean, they let you catch the ball. They brought you right down. Not as good this year.
I would agree with that. They haven't had quite the inside defensive tackle game that they've had, with Jernigan being out right now and Belodinata in and out of the lineup. They just haven't been as strong inside as they have been. And then I think, losing Rodney McLeod and juggling safeties is an issue right now. They've got to kind of figure that position out. It doesn't look like, the team speed is great on that side of the ball. So, but that can be fixed. That's tackling is attitude, and it's technique and its form, and you just got to keep harping on it. It's bad across the league. So I think if the Eagles want to be a great defense and they have that ability to be a great defense, that'd be a good place to start.
Let's talk defense, because I know one of your Baldy breakdowns from that Thursday night game was on a guy who in this area is getting a lot of criticism, and that's Mills. And you talked about how competitive he is, and you mentioned that the Eagles are lucky to have Jaylen Mills.
Well, in this business, every cornerback is on an island at some point, the way they spread you out. I mean, you got to be able to play the ball in the air. You got to defend great receivers, and it's difficult. I mean, there's not a rule in place right now that, hey, there's a defensive back. So, I mean, you see, illegal contact is up tremendously across the board right now. So it's getting increasingly difficult. Now, has Jaylen Mills gotten beat on some double moves? He has. But, I mean, he's given up one touchdown pass that I can see out of the 8 that they've given up this year. He tackles well. He's an extremely competitive guy. Odell Beckham didn't get behind him the whole day. In fact, in the red zone this year against the Falcons, against the Giants, in other games, he's been outstanding in the red zone in defending the goal line. And so he does a lot of things really well. Has he gotten beat on double moves? He has. But there's a reason why he was a seventh-round draft pick, Mike. I mean, he's not going to blow anybody away a 40 time. So if he makes an error when somebody stutters and goes on him or slant and goes on him or whatever, and he just bites a little bit, he has a hard time making that up. And so that is a weakness. There's no question about that. But everything else, he has. I mean, you want that guy on your team, and you want him out there in the practice field every day because he's going to make everybody in offense better the way he competes.
In your Baldy breakdowns, use the hashtag Baldy's breakdowns, and you can check out how he looked at that Eagles-Giants game. You highlighted Derek Barnett a lot. I'm wondering how the Eagles' pass rush matches up because the Giants' offensive line is hideous. How does it match up with Carolina?
Well, Carolina, I mean, I give them credit right now, Mike. They have juggled their offensive line since the beginning of the season. When they lost Darrell Williams, I mean, they lost 2 starting tackles to start the season. And they have been juggling offensive linemen throughout, yet they've held up pretty well. So, but I always think that the Eagles, just in the way that they attack the quarterback every single play, I always think the Eagles have an advantage when it comes to pass rush because that's what they do every play. They play the run on the way to the quarterback. And not everybody plays that way. Their job as a defensive line is to go create complete chaos, break a bunch of stuff. Just be that bull in China shop and let everybody else go clean it up. So it's a fun style to play if you're a defensive lineman. Fletcher Cox doesn't have to worry about passing lanes and all. I mean, he just gets to go wherever he feels like he can. Now, they may adjust things a little bit with Cam Newton in there because he's a real threat. But I think, it favors them. They just have to be cognizant of not getting behind Cam Newton in the pass rush because he can rip a 20-yard run off at any time.
Baldy, offensive line for Philly was a strength last year. Peters is banged up. Lane hasn't played nearly as well. He's a little nicked up. You did a Baldy breakdown on Sayamala. Is the line getting better? Are they struggling for a reason? What do you see with Philly's offensive line?
I thought they played really well last week against the Giants. I thought it was the best game. And really, no knock on Wisniewski. He was a really good player last year. But Sayamala is just so much bigger and so much more powerful. And you can see it. I mean, he can drive people off the ball. He is a real physical force. He does have some issues in pass protection that he has to get cleaned up. He's got to get better at the punch. He can't get, beat as quickly as he has on some rushes, not all, on some rushes. But he is a tremendous prospect and a tremendous talent. And they're lucky. I mean, that guy can line up at any single position and play. I've seen him at right tackle, left tackle, tight end, guard, and I know he can play center. So, I mean, he is a true piano man, and he can go up and down that line. But right now at left guard, I thought he played his best game he's played as an Eagle against the Giants. So that was encouraging. Now you have to start stacking that consistency up. Lane has struggled a little bit this year at times. He's still an elite athlete. He's a better athlete than most of the guys he plays against. He's going to see Julius Peppers this week, and he is just a complete freak. Even at age 38 or whatever he is right now, Mike, he is a freak. And he's not playing as many snaps as he used to, but if you let him get on your edge, he's going to make you look bad.
Brian Baldinger will call Eagles and Panthers for Compass Media on the national radio feed. You'll get to see Carson Wentz, obviously, and you highlighted a couple of throws that he has made. This guy was just coming off major knee surgery. Are some of the throws he's making and the accuracy, I mean, the fact that this guy almost looks like nothing's happened to this guy. When you see this guy on tape, you would not know that he just went through major knee surgery, right?
Not now. No, I mean, if there's any thought that knee was going to be any kind of a problem for him is gone. And the throw that he made to Alshon Jeffrey for the touchdown against the Giants, I mean, it goes against what every single analyst and coach has ever said. Don't throw late over, cross your body into the end zone. It's going to get – well, he did. He did all that. But I don't know how he did it. I don't know how he saw Alshon, and I don't know how he got the ball with the gusto that he did, throwing off one leg, but he did. And so he's just different. He's different than almost every single guy in this league. He's so strong. yet he's so fast twitch at the same time and so incredibly competitive. And to see him back right now he can't keep taking the hits that he took against Minnesota, even last week against the Giants. He's taking way too many hits because he competes every single play, and there's times when he just leaves himself completely exposed and his body just gets mangled in different positions. And you just wonder, like, how many – I thought the same thing about Andrew Luck early on in his career, like he took too many hits. And I worry about that right now with Carson.
Baldy, you're right.
He's willing to take those hits.
The most hits allowed this year, Houston's given up 70, Atlanta and Cleveland 49, and Philadelphia 48. So they are the third worst in the league. To flip it, Carolina is only giving up 18 quarterback hits, and I guess a little bit of that's because Cam moves and they don't throw it as much. And New Orleans, who throws it a lot, only 17 times. So you're right, he gets hit a lot. Let me ask you this. With Ajayi out, is there a back that fits better in this offense, or do you like the split?
No, it's always. I mean, if Doug had John Riggins, he would he'd still do it by committee. He's never going to let one guy just take all the pounding, and so it's going to be split. Josh Adams has gotten a carry or two. You may see him up. We'll see how Sproles is looking, but if it's Sproles and Corey Clement and Smallwood, they'll share the carries, and different guys get different screens, and it'll always be a committee, I think, in Doug's offense.
Carolina is coming off a loss. Got to come to Philadelphia, obviously, who's coming off that victory. We'll see. It's a big game. Last year, this was a big game when these two teams played down there. That was a Thursday night. Now the Eagles are coming off a Thursday night. We'll see how Doug calls this one. Should be interesting with those extra couple days. Carolina, I don't want to say desperate, but this is a big week for them. Let me ask you this. It's L.A. and the Saints, it looks like. Who's that next team that you're looking at in the NFC?
Well, Minnesota, it looks like they've really turned a corner. Defensively, they were a mess the first month of the season. Mike Zimmer said so. But the last 2 weeks, they've looked really strong. So they're coming on. Look, if you go back and you just chart last year's season with the Eagles, Mike, a huge game for them was their win Week 4 in Los Angeles against the Chargers. And that game was in the balance well into the fourth quarter. And LeGarrette Blount broke a big run off, and they secured that win against a good football team. Every year there's wins where you go, okay, that win really set this. I thought Thursday night's win against the Giants was that win. They got the Eagles in the right direction. They need to stack it with this win against a good Carolina Panther team that presents issues that a lot of other teams don't. And if they could do that, I would put the Eagles in that category because I think that they will start stacking some wins against teams if they do that this Sunday.
And Baldy will be on the call for Compass Media as the Eagles host the Carolina Panthers to kick off 1 o'clock right here on 97.3 ESPN's Boardwalk Honda Hotline. Brian Baldinger. Baldy, thanks so much, pal.
My pleasure. Anytime, Mike.